everyone, Niklsun here, and welcome to Coming Soon Movie News with Niklsun. I'm your host, and on this show, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we'll be going over all of the day's movie news, as well as going over what it means for the production in general, such as casting decisions, trailer announcements, director announcements, things like that. So, without any further ado, let's get started with today's Hot Topics. Disney's live-action adaptation of their upcoming Beauty and the Beast has just added a couple of key characters to their roster. So it looks as though both Luke Evans and Dan Stevens have attached themselves to the project. Luke Evans is actually going to be portraying Gaston, while Dan Stevens is actually going to be playing the role of the Beast. Now, for those of you who watched the show, on the episode when it was announced that Emma Watson was going to be playing Belle, I had actually given my predictions as to who I would like to see play the Beast, and Dan Stevens was at the top of my list. I'm so happy to see this guy getting mainstream work. I mean, again, for those of you who have not seen The Guest, this guy shows in that film that he can do a lot of range. This guy has a lot of different options in front of him in terms of what he can do for his acting capability. I mean, just watching that movie, he's very subdued and quiet, yet he can go very extreme. He can be a little bit flamboyant if he needs to be, which is almost exactly what the character of the Beast needs to be. He needs to be, like I said in that other episode, it is a juxtaposition of the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde story, where you have the whole purpose of the Beast is to showcase that even the nicest person on the planet, even though the most earnest individual on the planet has a dark side and has that evil within them. And that's the whole purpose of that character in that role. So having somebody like Dan Stevens be able to embody that, I think that's absolutely perfect. Now, the only question remains is visually, how are they going to portray that? We still don't know. We still don't know if they're going to do the stupid, because I mean, the one thing that goes against my argument for Dan Stevens is what I said in the last episode is I don't want another pretty boy with a scar or a little bit of disfiguration, but still seeing that they're good looking, like what Aaron Eckhart looked like in I, Frankenstein, or what Alex Pettyfer looked like in Beastly. So that's my hope. I hope that they go either a lot of prosthetics with CG enhancement or they go full motion capture. That's my hope for this, because we're at an age now where they can do it. It's not going to cost them an arm and a leg to do it. It's still very expensive, yes, but it is nowhere, by no means, what it used to be like 5, 6, 7 years ago to be able to portray a character like that. So they can definitely do it that way. That's just my hope for it. I would like to know what you guys think about that, whether or not you think it should be prosthetics, whether or not you think it should just be a little bit of makeup, or do you think they should go full motion capture? Let me know in the comment section below about that. But with Luke Evans joining, I actually completely even forgot about the character of Gaston in terms of how important he is to the story and how crucial getting the right actor for that role is. And Luke Evans is definitely the right guy to portray that. I mean, Gaston is both handsome, he is charming, but he is also smarmy. He's sleazy, he's swindling. And so you need somebody who has both the ability to just, as soon as he walks in the room, you're like, God damn it, that's a good-looking guy. But at the same time, you have to go, oh, I just want to punch him right in the face because he is the worst individual on the planet. And he is so egotistical and narcissistic. And Luke Evans is one of the perfect guys to be able to portray that. Because anybody who has watched his work, I mean, even just recently in the Hobbit movies, but I mean, going even further back, and I'm drawing a blank on the title of the film. But, like, I've been following Luke Evans for a bit now. And I think that he is definitely the right guy to do this role, just because he has those layers. I mean, and I think with a director like Bill Condon, because outside of Twilight, he did that just for the prestige, in my personal opinion. He did that just for the prestige, for the name recognition, and maybe to get a good paycheck. But when you look at his other films, like you look at Kinsey, or you look at, what was it? Was it Gods and Monsters? I think it was Gods and Monsters. I mean, you just look at his history, and this is the right guy to be able to do this. I mean, again, say what you will about Twilight, but still, I think that this is definitely the right course that they're going. From everything that I've been hearing about Cinderella, it is a magical film, and I don't mean that as a pun. I actually mean that people are coming out saying that this movie is magical. Like, it instills a feeling of almost nostalgia, but like, especially for people who watched the the original Cinderella and how faithfully it adapts from that, but still all the new things that it does, I still haven't seen it yet, so take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. But from a lot of reputable people who have gone to see the film, I'm really intrigued now with what they're doing with Beauty and the Beast. Because my initial perception of Cinderella was that this is just a live action adaptation of the cartoon. That's it. Like, they're literally just taking the panels from that cartoon and are just making them in live action. I still haven't seen the film, so I don't know if that's 100% true, but if they're going to do something similar with Beauty and the Beast and be able to instill this feeling in the film where you come out of it and you're wowed by it, even though it's something you've already seen, but you're wowed by it, then I'm definitely on board. And the cast is shaping up to be incredible. So I am definitely on board with this. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. There is no official release date, but the film is expected to come out sometime in 2016. I could see it coming out sometime in October. Either October or November. I think that is the right time to come out, especially considering the fact that I believe November 2016 is the first installment of the not Southern Beasts, Fantastical Beasts and Where to Find Them, the continuation of sorts or prequel to the Harry Potter franchise. So having this movie come out about a month and a half before that film, or even having it come out after, I think it would actually help them to come out before it. But I think that is a great strategy for timing. So I think we'll probably see this come out sometime in October or fall of 2016. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you think this is good casting? Who would you have rather seen in the roles or anything of that sort? Who would you rather see direct? You know, things like that. Let me know in the comment section below. And if we do get more information about this, I will definitely update you guys on here. Now we're getting to our user-submitted questions segment of the show. Now every Friday episode, as often as I can, I try to do as many user questions as possible. So if you guys ever have a topic, question, comment, or film that I have not addressed on the show that you would like to hear more information about, put a comment in the comment section of whichever video that you are watching, or you can email in at movienewswithniklsun, Niklsun, at gmail.com, and we'll try to get to as many as we can on Friday episodes. But the first question today, today's mostly going to be user-submitted questions. So the first question comes from Around the Clock, who asks, you had a lot of aggression in your voice when speaking about Damon Lindelof and all that searching for God crap. Why is that? Now, this was in response to when they announced Prometheus 2. And my reasoning and my little bit of frustration with that is I've had issues with Damon Lindelof in the past. He's a very not ambiguous. Well, that might even be the right word to use. He's a person who loves raising questions and never answering them, but never even giving hints as to what the answers mean or what the answers could be. It's all based on your interpretation, which to me, that is the sign of a lazy filmmaker and a lazy storyteller. But anyway, the original script for Prometheus was actually titled Paradise, and it was written by John Spates. And then Damon Lindelof was brought in to do a second rewrite, or a rewrite on the script to update it and to take some of the connections from the Alien franchise out and put in other stuff. So if anybody out there has gone and actually read the Paradise script, it's actually really fascinating. And it is what we were originally told we were going to get. It was a prequel to Alien. It had a xenomorph. It had one xenomorph in the movie. The engineers did play a part, but not a very large part. It was kind of the same amount that they played in the movie. But what Damon Lindelof did was, like, he had another script about, what was it about? I wrote it down here. What was it? Sorry about this. Yeah, he had written a script about the nature of creation. He had this idea about the nature of creation and how it was actually an extraterrestrial and all this kind of stuff. It was really cool fan fiction almost. But then they took that and they combined it with Paradise and they smashed them together. And that's why when you watch the film, it looks disjointed. It looks like it is two separate movies that have been crammed together as one. And that is my problem with it. Because that type of film and that level of storytelling and what they were trying to do with that film did not require them to search for God. And also, there was no reason for the character in the movie. There was no basis for that character outside of the juxtaposition of science versus religion. That was really the only point that Damon Lindelof was trying to tell in that story. And the original script featured none of that. And so my problem with it is that they removed a lot of stuff that would have been very fascinating to see, would have made the story a lot more cohesive, would have made things just make more sense. And they just infused it with all of this stuff that literally didn't change anything. It actually took away from the film. You had, like, they had to write in that stupid scene of those two scientists going up with that alien snake creature going, hey, little guy, hey, little guy. Like, come on, really? Like, that is just horrible, horrible writing. And that was from Damon Lindelof's section. So that was my biggest problem with it. It wasn't just the searching for God crap that really ticked me off. That was like one of the proverbial straw, if you will. And it just, to me, was, I wanted to see the prequel to Alien. I wanted to see what we were originally told we were going to get, because it was originally LV-426. It wasn't LV-409 or whatever planet it actually was on. Like, they almost made this like a parallel universe type story that had slight connections to the Alien franchise, but it didn't have a cohesive narrative that would lead up to that. They tried to highlight certain segments, and then the first evolution of the xenomorph at the end, they tried to add those things on after the fact, and the whole movie just, to me, fell apart. I still enjoyed Prometheus. I still did like it. It's a beautiful film, but when you read Paradise and you see what was originally supposed to be intended, that was my biggest issue with it, because Lindelof has done this in the past. I mean, he has gone out, he was the one who was the showrunner for Lost, and he's the one who ended Lost the way that he did. He's one of the people who came in and really helped propel J.J. Abrams to add to the mystery box of Star Trek Into Darkness. And, they kept asking with that. They said, is Khan the bad guy? No, definitive no. And then, is it a remake of Wrath of Khan? No, definitive no. Is Leonard Nimoy in the film? No, definitive no. And there's no reason for any of this stuff. I just wish that, Tomorrowland is probably going to change my opinion on him, because Tomorrowland, to me, looks so fascinating. I am so looking forward to it. And I do believe that Damon Lindelof has some good stories in him. I do believe that. I just haven't felt that we have seen that yet, because a lot of his films and projects that he's worked on have been contributions. They have not been his own work. While this is still a contribution with Brad Bird, I think it is going to be a fruitful combination between the two, and collaboration, and they will work together really well. That's my hope for it. But as it stands on this, I really do wish that we had have got Paradise, maybe with a rewrite on that, but not changing anything, just touching up the dialogue, because the dialogue was a little shoddy in the script. But I hated that the main central plot point was them searching for their creator. And I don't think that that's what it should have been. If it was, then take the God aspect out and say, we have almost now affirmative belief that God was not who created it. But then they try to ask, well, God, who created them? And all this kind, like, they just lost track of what the story actually was. And that was my biggest problem. So around the clock, I hope that did answer your question. I was not trying to piss off anybody out there who might have very deep religious beliefs or anything of that sort. It was just about what the initial story was supposed to be about, and then Lindelof came in and said, no, I got this, and I'm just going to smash it in with this other script, and we're going to make it work. And that was my biggest problem with it. So I hope that answered your question, but if you have any more questions or anything of that sort, feel free to put a comment in the comment section or email me in at movienewswithniklsun@gmail.com. This next comment today comes to us from Derek Flint, and this is going to be a really short one. I just wanted to update this because this is actually a really good casting list, but this is his ideal cast list for the Dark Tower adaptation that they're still working on. So Derek says, the best actors for the Dark Tower movie would be Mads Mikkelsen as Roland, which, yes, that is, I don't even think I thought of Mads Mikkelsen. That is a great choice. Daniel Day-Lewis should play the Man in Black, which, I mean, come on, it's Daniel Day-Lewis. You can never go wrong with him. The problem is that I don't believe that he would ever be interested in something like this, because this is genre fare, and he has stated in the past he is not interested in that kind of stuff, but time will tell. I mean, looking at the caliber of actors who are going in and working on, Marvel films and DC films, there could come a time in the next couple of years that he may actually be very intrigued by coming on board and working on some sort of comic adaptation or graphic novel adaptation. So it's not out of the realm of possibility. I just don't think it's very likely, but that is a hell of a choice as the Man in Black. Daniel Radcliffe, who everybody knows as Harry Potter, should play the role of Eddie Dean, which, I mean, yeah, Daniel Radcliffe has shown, especially in the last couple of years, with movies like Kill Your Darlings and say what you will about the film, but even Horns and his performance in that movie, he has really shown a lot of range and diversity, and shows that he can play a wide assortment of different roles. A lot of people need to forget that he was Harry Potter. Not forget, but just not see him as that. You know, I mean, it's almost a stigma that some TV actors have, where you see them over and over and over again as this one character, and then when they go to a movie, you're seeing that character in this film. And that's why some people just don't relate to them. But I really think that he's done a great job of separating himself from Harry Potter, and I hope that he continues. So to me, yeah, he would be a really good decision or choice to play Eddie Dean. The actress, I should have looked this up. The actress that plays Michonne on The Walking Dead should be the one to play Susanna, which absolutely, yeah. I mean, Michonne, name's right. I can see the I can see the opening credits, but I can't think of her name. But yeah, no, she would be great as Susanna. She brings that tough ruggedness to the role, while also a little bit of compassion and sensibility. So I mean, I think that would be really great. And then the Pusher should be played by Gary Busey. Just kidding. No, he put his son Jake Busey. So I've been a fan of Jake Busey for a long time, ever since the 1-2 punch of The Frighteners and Starship Troopers. You know, watching Starship Troopers, every time I watch that movie, Ace comes on the screen, he reminds me almost to a T of one of my best friends, Nate Jeffrey. I mean, just his mannerisms, even, you know, the way that he looks, his attitude towards everything. You know, I mean, he just to a T is almost exactly like my best friend Nate. So, that is a great cast list, Derek. Like, that is awesome. Great job on that. Anybody else out there who thinks that they have a cast list or anything like that for any film, even The Dark Tower, any film that's coming out, put a comment in the comment section, because I love hearing about this, the what ifs. I used to read a magazine when I was a kid. It was PlayStation Magazine. And almost every issue of that magazine had a fan cast list for a movie adaptation of a video game. So they had things like, you know, Metal Gear Solid and Grand Theft Auto and you know, any game out there that had a really cool story that people wanted to see adapted into a movie, they would have fan castings. And so I always loved reading those and seeing, oh, that would be so cool to see that person in that role. So let me know what you guys think about any, you know, casting decisions or you know, fan wishes for casting, no matter how outrageous they might be. Send them on in. I'd love to hear them, go over them on the show, and give you guys the option of going in and commenting, seeing, you know, who do you think would be the best cast and all this kind of stuff. I love that kind of stuff. So put your comments in about any of that stuff if you have any, and they'll most likely be featured on the show, because that's one of my favorite things about talking about, is just speculation and what could have been. So definitely put a comment in the comment section if you guys have any casting ideas for any film or franchise or anything of that sort. Let me know in the comment section below. Last week, when it was announced that Denis Villeneuve would be the one who would be helming the upcoming Blade Runner 2, I posited a question saying, who would you rather see as a director? Who do you think would be a better choice as a director? And Jordan Carl actually suggested Bennett Miller. Now, looking back, like when I initially saw that, I went, no. Just because to me, he does not have the right frame of mind for that type of film. I mean, just looking at his filmography, you look at Capote, you look at Moneyball, and most recently you look at Foxcatcher. It doesn't fit in with his filmography, with his style, with his with the way that he would go about it. But mainly to me, it's a visual aspect, because when you look at all of those films and then think about how Blade Runner actually was, the pacing and timing of their movies are very similar. I mean, Blade Runner, as brilliant of a movie as it is a very slow burn film. I mean, there's not a lot of action that happens. There are little action sequences that happen, but it is more of a film noir. Like, it is a detective film. It is a search film. It's not an action film. It's not a big spectacle movie, which is what I feel that we're going to get with Blade Runner 2. We're going to get more spectacle, which makes a little bit more sense considering the day and age that we live in, and we've already got that type of story already told with Blade Runner 1. Blade Runner 2 can really still reel that in and really be focused on character, which is what Bennett Miller is great at doing. You know, say what you will about his pacing. Now, when I saw Foxcatcher the first time, I still thought it was a great movie for performances, but it was so depressing and slow. I actually did fall asleep in the theater for about 5 to 10 minutes. which is very, very rare. The last time that happened was with Transcendence, and then the time before, I've only fallen asleep 3 times in the theater. The first one was with Unknown, the Liam Neeson action film, which to me was just awful. Then the second one was Transcendence, and the third one was Foxcatcher. So, as much as I did like the portrayal and the performances in the movie, I feel that Bennett Miller might not be the exact choice. He is great for the character development, which is going to be a major aspect of the Blade Runner franchise going on forward. But I don't think that he will very well, or be able to very well do the visual spectacle aspect of it. Just because of his sensibilities. Now, you could easily support him with the best visual effects supervisor on the world, and even with a great cinematographer, but still, I think you would need an even better cinematographer, because this movie is going to need that visual flair. And he is just not the right type of person to do that. So I think you have to give him the absolute best people to surround him to do that. Denis Villeneuve, on the other hand, when you watch his films, like, yeah, Enemy and Prisoners are both very strikingly different films, but they're both beautiful. They both have their own unique visual style. And that's something that he can really bring to Blade Runner. I think that he's got a grasp on that. I just think Bennett Miller, watching his films, he does have a more point-and-shoot approach. He has a very Kevin Smith approach to how he wants the film to look. He just wants the performances to be what people are gravitating to. He doesn't care about the camera movements and all that kind of stuff, which, when you watch his films, you can really understand that. And we need somebody with a visual style for this film. So I don't believe that Bennett Miller would be a great choice for Blade Runner 2, but still, I mean, that's just my opinion as well. Somebody out there might have a much better opinion. Somebody much more intelligent than I am might have a better opinion. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Would you rather see Bennett Miller than Denis Villeneuve direct Blade Runner 2, or do you have another choice? So, Jordan, I hope that answers your question. I personally don't see Bennett Miller, but I can see where other people would, especially dealing with the character aspect. I just have a feeling that he would have shortcomings with the visual aspect, and it would be just a fairly bland film, just with great performances. So that's my only problem with it. But Jordan, I hope that answered your question. And if you have any more comments or topics, feel free to put a comment in the comment section or email in. And our final user question of the day comes from Matthew Yamanashi, and he asks, what do you make of Danny Elfman contributing additional music to Avengers Age of Ultron? Well, Matt, I got to tell you, at first, I didn't read really anything into it. But then I started thinking of, okay, well, Marvel and Sony just made this deal. The original Avengers poster did not have Danny Elfman's name on it. The second one, after the Marvel-Sony announcement came out, had Danny Elfman's name on it. My theory with that, and I believe I have said this on a previous show, but I'm not 100% sure. I could have just been talking to a friend of mine about this. But I do believe that the after-credits scene of Avengers Age of Ultron is going, or at least one of them, is going to involve one of the major characters or some pivotal character in the franchise, either, you know, doing cleanup or walking around or doing something outside, and preferably in New York. And they look around and they look up or down an alleyway or something like that, and they see an Ultron drone, or they see something of an effect from the events of the Avengers caught in webbing. And that's where, and they just get on the phone and they say, oh, we've got a big problem here, or something like that, like we spotted them, move in, you know, I mean, like it could be, oh, that would be a great way to reintroduce Coulson. Imagine that. Imagine Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Avengers tie-in with the after-credit sequence with, you know, Coulson and May and Skye. Them actually... Oh, imagine Skye as Quake now. I mean, coming in and them all showing up, and you just see Coulson just standing there, and he looks down the alleyway, and he gets out the phone. He goes, we have a real problem here. And as the camera's slowly moving in on him, you can see in the reflection of his sunglasses, you can see the webbing. That, to me, would be really cool, because I think that's all we're going to get. We're not going to get a shot of Spider-Man, because the one thing a lot of people forget, they still need to design the new suit. They still, like, I mean, it's probably not going to be that big of a variation of what we've already seen, but they need to make it distinct to not think that this is a continuation of the Andrew Garfield movies. They've made it very apparent they are not going with Andrew Garfield, which means they are not going with that continuity. So they, therefore, cannot use that suit. people will still think that, oh, well, then those movies actually happened. Why didn't they address this? Why didn't they do that? Or anything of that sort. So I do believe that they need to design a new suit, make it a little bit different, either shrink the eyes down. I like the larger eyes. I love the suit in Amazing Spider-Man 2. I think that was the best suit that they've had so far. But they need to alter it just a little bit to make it a little different, unless they're going right with Miles Morales and we're getting the black and red suit. So, I mean, it all depends on what they're doing with that. But we're not going to see Spider-Man. We're not going to hear him. We're not going to see anybody swinging through, unless what we get is, you know, the after credits scene is maybe just looking at some, like the after effects of something that has happened. Maybe a building has been destroyed in New York. And, you know, the camera is just looking down on it, and you can see, like, Stark Towers there, or Avengers Towers there. The camera pans down to show the damage, and then you just see the camera pull back, and as it pulls back, you just see an arm come into the shot, and with the webbing shoot out and swing away. But you only see the arm. They could do something like that. That's what I think is going to happen, because to me, there's no other reason for them to bring in Danny Elfman outside of the fact that we're going to get some sort of Spider-Man connection. But I don't think it's going to be major. I think it's going to be just a little hint saying, hey, you know what? He exists in this universe as of right now. So then when Captain America Civil War comes out, he has already been established to be in this franchise and in this universe for well over a year, which explains away his origin story. That means we do not need it. He already exists. So that's what my interpretation of that is. That's what I'm not going to say that I hope that we get it, but it's likely that we get it. At this point, we know we're getting Spider-Man in the MCU. When he comes, it's going to be great. I don't need him forced in there just to be forced in there. That's what I hope they don't do, because that's when we get mistakes. That's when they do it incorrectly and just shoddy and just looks like it's going to be a fan service without really serving the story. So if this is something that's serving the story, or even setting up you know, the little nuggets for Civil War, which we know we're getting in this movie, especially the battles between Tony Stark and Steve Rogers. So it could even be connected to that. I mean, there's so much speculation. I do, however, believe that it is leading to some sort of Spider-Man reveal of some kind, but minor, very minor. It's either going to be something caught in webbing, or we're going to see, you know, the arm come up and the webbing shoot out. And that will also, if they do that, that'll confirm whether or not in this franchise as well, if he's going to have the actual web shooters, or if they're going to be, you know, biological, and they're actually going to be inside his body, part of the manifestation of being bitten by the spider. So it's anyone's guess right now. We've got less than 2 months until Avengers Age of Ultron comes out. So I'm over the moon for that. And I think we're going to get a big reveal in Avengers, but I don't think we're going to get anything too big. It's just going to be, you know, here's a little something for you. That's, I think, what we're going to get. So, Matt, I hope that answers your question. And also, thanks for supporting the page. I know you've been a big supporter. You've been sharing the videos around, so I really do appreciate it. To everybody out there who's been sharing my videos, I really do appreciate it, because this show, the entire growth of it, all of the views, all of the subscribers, everything is done because you guys have been sharing the videos. I have not put a single dollar into actually promoting this show. So I cannot thank you guys more enough than just to say, continue sharing my videos if you guys like them. If you don't like things about my videos, if you don't like things about anything of that, let me know. I am 100% open to constructive criticism. I do think that the only way that I can improve on this show is being told what I'm doing wrong. So I need for you guys to let me know about that. Those are some of the bigger questions and comments that I would love to receive. What you guys think that I should do to try to improve the show or change it up. One of the things I've been trying to work on is the length of the show, but due to my work schedule, I usually don't have the capability of shrinking it down or doing 2 smaller episodes in a day, just because my work schedule does not allow for that. So those are some of the things that I am very aware of that need to be worked on and corrected. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, or email at movienewswithniklsun@gmail.com. Any sort of questions or comments, or anything that you would like to see altered or changed on the show, because I'm definitely open to constructive criticism. Well, that'll about do it for us here on Coming Soon Movie News with Niklsun. Thank you so much for watching. You guys have been a great audience. Go ahead and click that subscribe button there in the bottom corner. You can get updates whenever we post a new video. You You can also follow me on Twitter at Niklsun, Niklsun, for all every movie updates, and also give us a like on our Facebook page at facebook.com/movie news with Niklsun. If you ever have a topic or a question you'd like to have talked about on the show, go ahead and put a comment in the comment section of the video that you're watching, or you can go ahead and email us at movienewswithniklsun@gmail.com. And on every Friday episode, we'll try to get to as many as we can. But until next time, you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.